Monday Night Raw starts off red hot to start off the show. Starts off with an amazing Drew McIntyre promo. Starts off with him mentioning, of course, the brutal beatdown that he gave to CM Punk on the recent episode of SmackDown, leaving him bloody in the ring. Of course, he mentions the bracelet he took off of CM Punk and explained why he did it. Mentions what the bracelet represents his dog, and it represents his wife AJ Lee, of course, and that now his family is wherever Drew McIntyre goes and not with CM Punk. He starts mentioning how he loves that CM Punk is alone and is miserable and that he is in pain and hopes that he can continue to do that. Then he alludes to the Money in the Bank briefcase and how he's going to eventually win that, and that when he wins the Money in the Bank briefcase, his wife and his family will be there with him instead of with CM Punk. This was great. This was an amazing promo. This was great. This feud has been amazing in the fact that they haven't even had one match yet. They haven't even had a match yet. And this is arguably, in my opinion, I think it is the best feud in wrestling. It's wild to think that a feud that hasn't had a match yet, a feud that has been going on since about like 4 to 5 months without a match is insane. This feud has been going on since basically January, and the fact that they haven't had a singular match and it's the best feud in wrestling is crazy. But this was a great way to start off Monday Night Raw. Next, we end up getting Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser. For the most part, Braun Breaker was having the advantage for majority of the match. Ludwig did get some offense in, but for the most part, Braun Breaker was the main one having majority of the offense. But then we get to Braun Breaker, comes out the wing, tries to spear Ludwig Kaiser on the outside, but he ends up running into the steel steps. Then Ludwig Kaiser, of course, the steel steps, he does his signature, tries to run around the ring, and ends up trying to do his signature drop kick, trying to injure his opponent. But then out of nowhere, Sheamus comes out of nowhere with an insane bro kick out of nowhere. Comes out of nowhere, hits the bro kick. Then he tries to pick Ludwig Kaiser, tries to go for a powerbomb, tries to get him on the announce table. He clears all the stuff off the announce table, tries to powerbomb on the announce table, but then out of nowhere, Braun Breaker ends up spearing Sheamus while he has Ludwig Kaiser in the powerbomb position. And this was great. This was great. Still showing Braun Breaker being that unstoppable animal that no one can tame. I'm interested to see what Sheamus and Ludwig are going to eventually how they're going to play out into this, because later on it's very interesting what they end up doing with Braun Breaker, especially what's going to happen in Money. Next, we get a quick Judgment Day segment with Liv Morgan buying gifts for the Judgment Day. She bought gifts for Dominic Mysterio. They're in the clubhouse playing video games, playing it on TV. They're playing WWE 2K24 and stuff. Then of course Damian comes in, mentions the Liv Morgan situation. Dominic ends up saying that he can't control it. He's trying to stop it, but she won't stop. Then he ends up getting a text message from her, and it's Liv Morgan. He gets a freaky text. He get a freaky picture. We all most likely know what it probably was for the most part, based off Liv Morgan's character. Carlito ended up saying that's cool, which was hilarious. And Damian is basically trying to, tell Dominic that he needs to end this whole romance with Liv Morgan tonight. Then Damian Priest starts talking to the rest of the Judgment Day members, ends up basically saying that we need to handle this Braun Strowman issue and y'all need to stop playing the games. The Judgment Day end up agreeing that they need to handle the Braun Strowman issue. Then we get a quick segment. Braun Breaker comes to Adam Pearce, I almost call him Nick Aldis, comes to Adam Pearce, ends up banging on his door, basically ends up saying that he's tired of people standing in his way and that he should be the one facing Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is right behind him, he's listening, and he basically ends up saying that you want to face me for the title? You got it. Just name it, when and where. Braun Breaker says Money in the Bank. This is interesting, and they end up confirming it. Sami Zayn will face Braun Breaker and Money in the Bank. This is interesting because you could go two routes with this match, and I'm very conflicted because part of me says you got to have Braun Breaker win, but part of me also says I don't think Braun will win, because I think there's a chance that Ludwig or Sheamus could interfere in that match, preventing Braun to win, which can hold him back for the title for a bit. And they can also do a story with Chad Gable may interfere in the match as well, so who knows. But this is very interesting, and I can't wait. Next, we get Lyra Valkyria versus Kairi Sane for the Shayna Baszler in a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. Finna get straight to the end of the match. Towards the end of the match, we got Shayna Baszler got Lyra Valkyria in a Kitaguru clutch. Lyra Valkyria ends up reversing it into a bridge pin, which Shayna Baszler kicks out, but then Kairi Sane was on the top rope, ends up hitting her insane elbow, which leads to Lyra Valkyria picking up Kairi Sane, hits her finisher, the Nightwing, and she ends up picking up the victory, and she will be in your Money in the Bank ladder match for this year. It only made sense for Lyra Valkyria to win. I don't really need to say more about this match. This was actually a pretty solid match, but nothing more to really say here. Lyra Valkyria is the only right winner here. I think no one will be upset. Now we get Liv Morgan. She comes out to the ring. And man, oh man, she comes out to the ring. She basically wants Dominic Mysterio's attention. She basically mentions the gifts. She asked about the text message that he likes the text that the picture that she sent Dominic Mysterio. Then she ends up throughout this promo she kept calling him Daddy Dom. Throughout the entire promo she kept calling him Daddy Dom. She wants him to come out. She keeps saying, Daddy Dom, please come out. Selena Vega comes out. Selena Vega comes out. She ends up cutting a really great promo. I really wish they gave Selena Vega more of a bigger role on TV than just being a manager. I really wish they would actually use her a lot more in this type of environment. She comes out. She ends up saying that, I don't understand why you're so obsessed with Rhea Ripley's sloppy seconds. And she ends up saying that while you've been chasing Dirty D, I like what she did with that. And while she's been chasing Dirty D, she's been chasing for the WWE Women's World Championship. Then Liv Morgan talks about how this championship that she's holding, the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, is the most important. She ends up sending Rhea Ripley home and she retired Becky Lynch. Then Dominic Mysterio comes in. He comes in, of course, Liv Morgan is happy. She's extremely turned on. That's how I perceived it. Then Dominic comes in, can't get a word in for a bit, but then he was able to say that he wants to help Selena Vega. That because he does not want Liv Morgan to hold that championship. Selena Vega basically declines the offer, doesn't want Dominic Mysterio's help. Then Liv Morgan ends up attacking Selena Vega. They end up brawling. Liv Morgan got the upper hand. She's on top of Selena Vega. Then Rey Mysterio comes in. He comes in, pulls Liv Morgan off of Selena Vega to break it up. Then Dominic Mysterio's in the corner. He's just watching his father, help up Selena Vega. Then he ends up pushing Rey Mysterio. He ends up pushing his father and then ends up leaving the ring. As he leaves the ring, Liv Morgan is like mesmerized by this. Like she is just mesmerized with the biggest smile on her face. And then she starts following Dominic Mysterio, trying to get his attention. This was great. I love what they're doing here. This story has been amazing. I love Selena Vega, her factor into this as well, because her promo skills was great in this segment. And Liv Morgan wasn't half bad on the mic either. I love what they're doing. We get Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio after Liv Morgan starts following Dominic Mysterio. She basically ends up saying that you saved me, you're my hero, you protected me. Dominic basically was like, I didn't do this for you. I did that because I don't like my dead father. But Liv Morgan basically takes it as Dominic did it for her and that he was trying to protect her. He ends up leaving. Then R-Truth comes in, and R-Truth starts assuming that Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio are actually in love. They're actually in love, and they actually are together. And Liv Morgan basically ends up manipulating R-Truth and basically ends up saying that you should give Judgment Day a title shot on tonight's episode of Raw. And he ends up saying, I would do it because of love. That's basically his reason. This was hilarious, that the fact that he gave Judgment Day a title shot because of Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio's love is insane. And later on in the main event, you end up getting Awesome Truth versus Judgment Day between Finn Balor and JD McDonagh. Another qualifying match between Chad Gable, Bronson Reed, and Braun Strowman. Not going to speak too much on this match. Nothing more to really tell. Judgment Day interfered in the match, to take care of their Braun Strowman issue. They end up taking out Braun Strowman out of this match very quickly. This lead to Chad Gable and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed was on the ground, which lead to Chad Gable doing a moonsault, picks up the victory, and he is in the Money in the Bank Money in the Bank ladder match. I think no one will be mad at the decision. After this, the lights go off, the music starts playing again, the flashlights are going off, and we get Nikki Cross coming from underneath the ring and starts crawling in the ring. Chad Gable is still in the ring. He starts backing away, fearing for his life. He gets out of the ring. Nikki Cross is crawling in the ring. She ends up crawling out of the ring. She crawls out of the ring. And then she ends up picking up a box. She ends up getting a box, walking slowly with the box, and gives it to Michael Cole. She gives it to Michael Cole, and it just leaves. Now, Michael Cole ends up later on revealing what's in the box, and ends up being a VHS tape that ends up saying, play me. And then later on, they end up playing HS tape. Now we get a quick Alpha Academy segment. We get Chad Gable. He ends up talking to Alpha Academy. He basically ends up saying that he's apologizing. He's sorry. He was too hard on him. And that The Wyatt Six, the attack that happened to him made him realize, basically life is short and that he needs to get the family back. But Otis basically says that you took things too far and we're done. And then after they end up leaving, they shut the door on him. The Creed brothers and Ivy now show up and they basically said, does he need any help? This is great. They're already putting the tease out there that the Creed brothers are going to be following in the footsteps of Chad Gable, and I can't wait. Another Judgment Day segment. We get Liv Morgan leaving the clubhouse of the Judgment Day while Damian Priest is about to walk in. Him and Liv end up having an interaction, and then as he walks in, it is Finn Balor in the Judgment Day clubhouse that was in the room with Liv Morgan. Of course, Damian Priest questions it. Finn Balor ends up feeling offended that he's being questioned, but Finn Balor ends up saying that she came in just to tell us that tonight we got a world tag team title match with, Finn Balor himself and JD McDonough, and that Rey Mysterio is going to face, Rey Mysterio and Dominic are going to have a match next week. Damian ends up forgiving it, but then after Damian leaves, Finn Balor had a very suspicious look because he was like laughing, chopping it up with him, and then he ended up having a more serious look on his face. I love what they're doing here. I love the story that they're telling here with Finn Balor potentially setting up the Judgment. Now we get Damian Priest and Seth Rollins. Get a Damian Priest, Seth Rollins promo. Starts off with Seth Rollins basically saying that he respects and admires Damian Priest, but he doesn't understand Damian Priest as a champion because he doesn't believe the things he are saying, because Damian Priest before talked about how Seth Rollins would never get back to the top as long as Damian holding the championship. Seth Rollins basically said he doesn't believe him because his actions don't align with his words, because every title defense he needed help. Mentions Clash and mentions Backlash. Damian basically says that he didn't ask for help. That's not his fault, basically. He's still the world champ. Then Seth Rollins basically ends up saying that he don't like being one-up and that he wants to one-up Damian Priest on tonight's show. He ends up making an ultimatum. He ends up making a deal, ends up saying that if Seth Rollins lose at Money in the Bank, that he can never challenge Damian Priest for that World Heavyweight Championship. But if Damian Priest lose to Seth Rollins, he must leave the Judgment Day. And Damian Priest ends up saying that he doesn't need the Judgment Day needs him, and that he agrees. This is very interesting. This makes Money in the Bank so unpredictable because I don't know who wins that match. My gut is telling me Seth Rollins just because that's how you can make Damian Priest a babyface and have the implosion of Judgment Day right there. But this is very interesting, and I can't wait to see how that match plays out because that could go either way. Then towards the end of the set, then after they shake hands, Gunther comes out. He makes his return. He comes out and basically ends up giving his respect, but he ends up saying that whoever wins that Money in the Bank, it basically don't matter because you're losing to me anyway, which is true. We all know most likely Gunther is going to win and take the title off of whoever's holding it by SummerSlam. Now we get Uncle Howdy. Get an Uncle Howdy segment. They end up playing the VHS tape, and it's Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy talking to each other. Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, but you got two of the same people, but two different personalities. Uncle Howdy is interviewing Bo Dallas, asking him questions. He ends up asking him, does he feel forgotten? Does he remember who he is? Does he feel lost? Bo Dallas ends up saying that he doesn't even know who he is anymore. He ends up mentioning his brother, mentioning that how does it feel to lose his brother? Bo Dallas ends up saying that it meant everything to him. Then Uncle Howdy ends up asking, how does it feel to use your brother's legacy? Bo Dallas ends up saying that he's not trying to use his legacy. He ends up mentioning how that he wanted to team up with his brother, how they almost got that chance but could never live it out because, the unfortunate passing. He mentions how he doesn't want people to forget about them and how they almost did forget about them, but he put them back on notice. I love this. This was great. This was a very deep and intense promo, very emotional. You could just feel the emotion out of Bo Dallas. This was great. The fact that they had, two of his personalities, the real him versus the Uncle Howdy, like this was great. This was amazing. This is great. I can't wait to see what's next for the Wyatt Six because this was amazing. This was very good, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Get a quick little match. Kofi Kingston versus Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross ends up picking up the victory after Karrion Kross basically cheated. He ended up having the Authors of Pain attack Xavier Woods on a Titantron. Kobe, of course, tries to help, but Karrion Kross ends up attacking him, picking up the victory. I don't know where this leads, but I hope it leads somewhere because Karrion Kross needs something. Now we get to the main event. Judgment Day, Finn Balor, JD McDonough versus Awesome Truth. Going to get towards the end. Of course, you already know interferences was going to happen, of course, with the Judgment. But towards the end of the match, Liv Morgan is out there. Liv Morgan, R-Truth has the advantage. Finn Balor's in the ring. Liv Morgan ends up getting on the top rope and starts talking to R-Truth. She's talking about the love, isn't she's talking about the love. She's talking about Dominic Mysterio and her, how it worked, their plan worked, and how they're in love. R-Truth is talking to her because he's believing it. He ends up hugging, well, Liv Morgan ends up hugging him. Then she waits for the perfect opportunity to yank R-Truth towards the ropes. Finn Balor ends up taking advantage. He ends up hitting the sling blade, hits the coup de grace, and now the Judgment Day ends up getting the WWE World Tag Team Championships back in the Judgment Day, and that's how we end Monday Night Raw. This was great. This was a great episode of Monday Night Raw. I wonder how they're going to use these tag titles as a story, because I feel like that's the main reason why they did this. They're going to use these titles as a story in some shape or way for this Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio storyline. I just can't wait to see how that plays out. You guys let me know what you guys thought of tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this episode of Monday Night Raw. I thought this was really good. But you guys let me know what your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's